I discovered a radio station that only plays from 1:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. every night. Its broadcasts are very odd, to say the least. Does anyone know which one I'm talking about? The one that only plays random words at 2 a.m. and calls itself Radio Pure Midnight. I'm in northern Minnesota for reference. I found it by accident. I've been living with my grandpa for the past few months because my parents are getting divorced and things are really toxic at home at the moment. My grandpa doesn't do much so, since I have no friends in this town besides this kid named Ryan I met at summer camp here a few years ago, so I spend most of my free time drawing or surfing the web or reading at the desk upstairs in the room I always stay in when I come to visit my grandpa. He keeps a radio on the desk, one I don't think he's actually used in years, because he never mentions it. But I use it every time I stay with him. And I know this town's radio stations well. This city is isolated about 2.5 hours from Duluth for frame of reference. There's only 3 stations, or, well, so I thought, I guess. There's the evangelical Christian one, the one that always plays classic country rock, and the one that's the local public broadcast station. I remember I was playing with the dials that afternoon to try and see if I could somehow get a real pop or rap station coming from Minneapolis or Canada. I always do every time I come here to see if there is anything new. But I didn't have any luck. Lazy, I left it on a static limbo between the regular channels and turned the volume down before I got distracted. I don't remember falling asleep. I do remember waking up and it was dark out the window and I had goosebumps. It's because I realized I could hear a weird robotic voice repeating gibberish to me in the room. Sleepy, I looked at the time on my computer. 1:58 a.m. I turned to the radio, which I realized was what was projecting the weird voice. It sounded like one of those automated voices that people use on their YouTube channel for memes and stuff, but it was anything but cute or cheeky. It kept repeating gibberish over and over in a weird incantation and with unnatural, artificial inflections. The same kind the Siri and Alexa and all those other proto-AI use. Carl Sagan. Roller coaster. Jazz. 7. Michelangelo. Brassica. President Clinton. I fell back asleep before I could think anything of it. It was only the next morning, when I woke again to the usual static, that I remembered that I had woken up that night. At first I thought it was a dream. But I decided to not move the station just to make sure. Sure enough, the next night I stayed up watching rom-coms. Looks, my life is pretty dark right now, I need some light things to pick my mood up. That at around 1:30 I heard the robotic voice pierce through the quiet of the night and start its weird code chant again. Thank you for listening to Radio Pure Midnight. Goldfish. Cake. Tom Brady. 11. Italy. It was then I was fully intrigued. I listened for a full hour, waiting for anything to happen. My hypothesis at the time was that it was some sort of classified, but non-important government communications channel, so I wrote everything down to try and see if I could decipher any pattern. That evening, I told my grandpa about the station. I asked him if he'd ever heard of a radio channel in town called Radio Pure Midnight. Confused, he didn't know what I was talking about. I asked him to stay up with me to try and catch it, play again, but he fell asleep at around 9:30. We were in the living room. Just when I thought I was crazy through the snores of my grandpa filling the room, sure enough, at around 1:30 a.m., the weird broadcast of Radio Pure Midnight began playing again for about an hour. And once again, I wrote everything down. The next day, I texted Ryan to see if he wanted to hang. We hadn't seen each other in a while, so I made it seem like I just wanted him to spend the night to catch up, which to be fair, I did. It was only after he got to my place that I told him the real reason I asked him to stay over. Are you for real? He asked. Yup, I answered. So we stayed up that night playing video games and talking about life, waiting for the broadcast to start. I even showed him the notes I had been taking, and he was impressed. At around 1:30, we prepared ourselves. I turned up the volume to make sure that we could hear the static clearly, to make sure Ryan wouldn't miss it. He didn't, because right at 1:30, the Radio Pure Midnight broadcast began, and Ryan was flat out amazed, if not a little bewildered and unsettled. I've lived here my whole life, he said. I've never heard of this station ever. I explained to him that's why I'd been taking notes each week, trying to see if there was a code. In the following weeks since then, I've been staying up trying to record everything I heard. While a little unusual, I thought the whole thing was mostly benign. I started shifting my thought process from that speculating it was government related to more likely a college prank. Still, I was stubborn to figure it out if I could. Everything changed last night. I was expecting the normal nonsensical word salad I usually received. Instead, the message was this: hello. And thank you for listening to Radio Pure Midnight. Tonight we have a special announcement. 4 more die tomorrow, 4 more die tomorrow, 4 more die tomorrow, 4 more die tomorrow, 4 more. I was startled by the broadcast. It took me a few seconds of listening to actually register what it was saying. At first I was confused. What the hell did it mean? I started thinking and I began to imagine the worst. Was this a threat? Were 4 people going to be murdered for some ideological cause? I tried calling Ryan, but he was asleep. I texted him everything, and then fell asleep. In the morning, I read his reply: Ryan, bro, WTF. That's messed up. You're not planning me right now, right? Me, why would I prank about this? I don't know what to do. Do you think this is real then? Should I go to the police? Ryan, maybe, but what are they going to do? It TBH. We decided to wait because, well, what exactly were the police going to do? I've called them before about shit, and they don't do nothing. Especially the cops in this town. My initial panic subsided as I went about my day and nothing happened. I went to school, went to the library afterwards to do some homework. I ate dinner with Grandpa around 6. It was then I started wondering if I was taking this too seriously when I got another text from Ryan. Ryan, bro, check this out. He sent me a link. It was to a news article published over 50 minutes ago. The headline: 4 people killed in car crash.